Hello and welcome back to a new IELTS Express lesson. Today we'll be analyzing an academic writing task sample for Band 5 or 5.5 and we'll be dealing with multiple pie charts. Now I know that I've already posted a tutorial on multiple charts, which was a table and a pie chart, but this one is a little bit different because we're going to have only pie charts. And IELTS multiple graph or multiple chart questions are quite common in the academic task 1 writing test. And I've decided to do this one because students often panic when they see these because they're worried about having to interpret two different types of data. However, rest assured, as long as you have learned how to write the summaries on each type of graph, and you can also check my videos, I can tell you that you will have no problem with multiple charts questions. And whenever you have multiple charts, you can have any combination of the following: bar charts, line graphs, pie charts, table, and so on and so forth. And just to let you know that the process of the planning and writing IELTS multiple charts summaries is the same as for any other academic task 1 essay, and I recommend the same process, 5 steps. Step 1, analyze the question. Step 2, identifying the main features. Step 3, write an introduction. Step 4, write an overview. And then the final step, step 5, write the details paragraphs. So nothing has changed. So today I'm going to take you through the whole process step by step as we are going to work on a sample answer for Band 5, which is also taken from the Cambridge IELTS book. So let's get started. We're going to start with understanding the task. In the actual exam, you should spend 3 to maximum 4 minutes understanding the task, reading the task very carefully, underlining the keywords if you're taking the paper-based exam, looking at the visual cue, and you can also make notes and you can underline or scribble around the visual cue. So this will help you to write your summary. You can also write down vocabulary that you're going to use. You can also write reminders. One of the students I have worked with told me that they have written reminders on their draft paper. Remember to plan, or don't forget to check, which is also a very good thing. So whatever helps you plan your summary to get the maximum score, you do that. So this is what we have. As you can see, the format of every academic task 1 question is the same. Yeah, you have the same thing, and exactly as I said in my previous tutorials, the word below serves as a pointer. You don't have to use it in the summary. Again, you have to read the question very carefully, and here the pie charts are partly set in the future. So this means that you'll have to make sure you use future tenses, not just past tenses. And past because we have 2000 here. So you also have to learn how to make projections. But the last sentence, summarize the information, this is the same. This is identical. Yeah, because actually the whole task 1 question consists of 3 parts. Sentence 1, which is a brief description of the visual cue. Then the second sentence, the instructions, and then the visual cue, which can be a chart, graph, table, so on and so forth. And the second sentence tells you what you have to do, and you must do 3 things. Select the main features, write about the main features, and then compare the main features. This is also very important. So all 3 tasks refer to the main features of the graphic. You don't have to write about everything. What you have to do is to have a bird's eye view and just pick out 2 or 3 key features, and then you have plenty to write about. Okay? Of course, another thing that is very important to make sure you meet the minimum number of words. Here we have quite a lot of data to interpret, so you can go a little bit over 160, 170, even 180 words. That's okay, but make sure you don't write under. And now let's have a look at the visual cue. Okay, so what do we have over here? We have 4 pie charts. Okay, but in order to answer this task effectively, you need to ask yourself some questions beforehand. And I'm going to give you some questions that you can easily adapt to any visual cue. And like a checklist, yeah, which you should think about when you're writing about IELTS Task 1 chart questions. For example, the first one would be, what kind of chart is it? Well, we've got pie charts, so we'll have to use different language, sometimes as compared to other charts. For example, with pie charts, we are more likely to use the language of proportion. Then, what does the title say about the chart? Well, the title gives us all the information, basic information we need to answer the question. And again, we need to read this very carefully, even twice, to make sure we fully understand the question. What information is contained on both axes? Here, there are no axes in this question because it is a pie chart. But if you're going to have bar chart or line graph, you need to consider this question. What are the units of measurement? The units of measurements are principally ages, which are listed here. And then, of course, percentages, which are throughout the pie charts. So we'll have to use specific language for percentages. What groups are compared? There are 2 countries. We have Yemen and Italy, and 3 age groups, right? What is the time period, which is also very important because this will also affect the tense that we're going to use. So we have 2 distinct years. So we have 2000 and 2050. Okay, so it's very important for you to know that we're not talking from 2000 all the way to 2050. We don't have a 50-year span. We have 2 distinct years. So you have to use both past tenses and future tenses. Okay, and now we get to the most important part. What is the most obvious thing that the data show us? So the 2 most obvious things are that Italy, if you look at Italy, had a much older population than Yemen in 2000. Or if you want to go the other way around, Yemen had a younger population. And both populations are predicted to be much older in the future. So if you look at the orange chart over here, part over here, and then over here, and then if you look at the 60 plus, we have more, whereas here is just 3.6. And then if you look for the predictions, is getting older and older. Yeah, both populations are predicted to be much older in the future. Okay, what is the most significant or the most important piece of information displayed? Well, yes, the fact that Yemen has a very small proportion of people over 60 years in both situations. So if you have a look over here, and then again in 2050 compared to Italy, right? And then since you have identified these things, can you make any comparisons? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's plenty of things to describe. And then the last thing you should ask yourself, is this a static chart or a dynamic chart? Well, there are 4 static charts, but if you put them together, they are dynamic because they change over time. And also this will be reflected in the language you use. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to write these questions. There are actually 10 of them in the exam because it will take you too long. And that's not the point. However, I keep telling my students to use this checklist whenever they're practicing because this is very good. And if you think about these 10 things above, you will have a much better chance of answering the question effectively. That's the point. And again, practice makes perfect. So if you practice enough, you will mentally ask yourself these questions every time you answer a task 1 IELTS question. Okay. I've also said that the first 2 pie charts are in the past, and also that there are 2 countries. Yeah, so this is what you should be doing the first 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, now that we have spent this time understanding the task, analyzing it, let's cut to the chase. So we're going to look at our structure, as I said, a 4-paragraph structure or a 12-sentence summary. The introduction, the overview, and 2 paragraphs with details information. Okay, the introduction is, of course, a paraphrase of the question. I'm going to introduce the pie charts, or the 4 pie charts if you want, to show the ages of people in Yemen and Italy in the years 2000 and 2050. Right? It is extremely important for you to mention the time frame as well. Easy peasy, 1 sentence. Then, in the overview, as I said, you have to identify the main features. So the thing is that the graph is in IELTS multiple charts questions should not be difficult to interpret, and each question and each visual cue has been created to test your language skills and not your mathematics ability. You don't have to subtract or add or anything like this. All you're looking for are the main features. And again, as we have discussed this already, these will usually be quite easy to spot. So as a general rule, in most task 1 questions, you will be looking for 2 main features in 1 graph, chart, or table. But when you are dealing with multiple graph questions, you have to look for 1 main feature in each graph. And again, there will be lots of information in the graphics to help you identify you. Okay? So you should be starting your overview with the word overall, because this will let the examiner know that this is the main, the bird's eye view, that you have identified the main topics. Think about the overview as the trailer of the movie, right? How long is the trailer of the movie? 2 to 3 minutes long, but it doesn't give you anything. It gives you like a sneak peek, yeah? So it convinces you to go and watch the movie. The same thing should be with the overview. And if you read the overview, you can also see that Italy had an older population than Yemen and then the time, and this will continue, the projection 2050. And again, the second sentence talks about the changes in the future. And again, it talks about the way the population of Yemen will be affected, and also Italy. Easy peasy, nothing too complicated. Yeah, this is what the candidate has done here, has written about the most obvious things that the data shows. Okay, we're moving on to paragraph 1. In the first paragraph, and I've also signposted this, I'm going to talk about the data for the first 2 pie charts in 2000 in the past. And I don't have to read the paragraph in detail, but I can already see that there's data. Everything is supported by data, right? And I can also see comparison. Yeah, 2 to 3 sentences detailing first main features, make comparisons, and also support everything with data. I also have most people, a large percentage, and also the comparison why. Moving on to the second paragraph, obviously I have signposted that I'm going to write about the other 2 pie charts which refer to future. And again, I have numbers, actually proportions, percentages to support the ideas. And I can also see briefly there are some connective words that will link the ideas one to another. Yeah, again, there is a lot of data. So even though the summary will be longer, make sure you don't repeat yourself, or make sure you don't introduce any irrelevant information. Okay? And that would be all. Wasn't that complicated, was it? Thank you very much for watching. And I just want to remind you that this is the last tutorial from the series. So if you found the whole series useful, and if you you would like me to have another series for band 6 or even band 7 and so on, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share the video with your friends if you think this would be useful for other people as well. And until next time, keep practicing your English. Take care. Bye bye.